Hi, this is estate planning lawyer Michael Pevney, and in this video we are going to talk about the 5 reasons that your kid is going to blow their inheritance and the solution to make sure that doesn't happen. But before that, if you are interested in estate planning, please subscribe to this channel. You can also ask a question in the comments section. I'm usually able to respond and sometimes even respond by a video. So the first reason your kid's going to blow their inheritance is you pass away before they turn 18. Now, technically, a child is not allowed to hold title to a whole bunch of money, a whole bunch of property, your house, your life insurance benefits, anything like that. But what it does mean is that as soon as they turn 18, they are going to get control of that money without any sort of strings attached. So take a moment and think back. If you got hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars as soon as you turned 18, what would you do with it? Would you spend it on college, buy a reasonable car? Or would you buy a crazy car and a bunch of clothes and go traveling and do things that might not be the most financially responsible, might not be, if you were alive, what you would have spent that money on for your children? The number 2 reason that your kid is going to blow their inheritance is if they're not under 18, but they are young adults. Research has shown that the frontal lobes of the brain, I hope I'm getting the brain anatomy right, doesn't fully develop until you are 25, 26, 27 years old, meaning you are not thinking clearly. So you pass away, you've got kids that are college age or in their young 20s or mid 20s or maybe even older than that, and they get title to, they get a bunch of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars. What are they going to do with it? I can certainly say without hesitation that if I got that kind of money at that age, I definitely wouldn't have finished my degree in 4 years. I very well may not have gotten it at all because it's a whole big world out there and there's a lot to see and there's a lot to do. Because I was on loans and my parents helped me and were pretty tight-fisted with that money, I was able to do things responsibly because I had guardrails around me. But if young adults get control of all that money, it's very unlikely that they're going to do with it exactly what you wanted them to do with it. Number 3, third reason your kid's going to blow their inheritance is maybe they're not physically immature, maybe they're not young, maybe they're in their 30s or 40s, but they are financially immature and they have demonstrated over their life that they are not responsible with money. Maybe they've even gone so far to have had to have declared bankruptcy at some point in life, or they have run up credit cards and had judgments against them, and as soon as they get money, they need to spend it, whether that's on cars or homes or remodels to the houses or lavish vacations or something like that. An adult child that has demonstrated time and time again that they're not responsible with money, and they have a lot of creditors out there, people that they owe money to. So that's number 3. They're not physically immature, but they are financially immature. The 4th reason that your kid might blow their inheritance is if they have an addiction problem. That can be gambling, that can be substance abuse. And we know that that can certainly snowball and lead to obviously horrible physical consequences for them and for their lives. But what goes first is the finances. And if they get access to that kind of money, it is not going to be good for their health and it's not going to be good for their welfare. The 5th reason your kid is going to blow their inheritance is if they have an abusive spouse that may end in divorce. I'm not necessarily even talking about physically abusive because there are different types of abuse. I'm talking about emotional abuse and, yes, financial abuse. And we want to make sure that any inheritance is protected from an abusive spouse. Now, where I live in California, inheritances are actually separate property and not subject to community property rules. But if that money is used and transferred into joint accounts and used to pay for vacations and cars and to pay down the mortgage, This is when divorce lawyers have a field day saying that, well, even though these hundreds of thousands of dollars were separate property, it was the intent of the spouse that this go as community property, leaving it open to that money being given to some jerk who you never wanted your kid to marry in the first place. So the solution to all of this, to your kids blowing their inheritance for any number of reasons, they're minors. They're not minors, but still too young. They're not too young, but they're financially immature. They have a substance abuse or addiction problem, or they have an abusive spouse, we put that money in a trust, specifically a revocable living trust that you have complete control over while you're alive, but also lives on after you've passed away. And in creating that trust, there are a lot of restrictions that we can put on this money. We can keep it in the trust and have it only used for very specific situations that are going to benefit your child, like their health, their education, their welfare, their support, right? They can pay for Stanford, but they can't pay for a Ferrari. And when determining what these rules are going to be, it's important to have an in-depth conversation and an honest conversation with your estate planning attorney, who can then craft that trust to make sure that the kids are protected from themselves or from abusive creditors, spouses, and other people. If you've got questions about this or anything else related to estate planning, you can ask your question in the comment section. Please subscribe to this channel for more estate planning information. And if you live in California, you can set up a time to meet with me for free by going to ocestateplanlawyer.com. Thanks for watching.